Well, thanks so much for joining us. A big day for all football players, watchers, sports fans, and the party is on in New England again. You saw it right here on Q2 earlier. The Patriots won their 6th Super Bowl.
It's unbelievable just how good
is that real
they can
life?
be. Yeah, congratulations to the Patriots. They're not the only happy ones tonight, though. Everybody who bet on New England also very happy tonight, especially in states that now allow sports gambling. It is legal in 8 different states now after a Supreme Court ruling last May, and Montana could be next. Here's what it could look like. Last May, gamblers across the country rejoiced when the Supreme Court overturned the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, giving all 50 states the chance to legalize sports wagering. So far, 7 have, with many more, including Montana, introducing legislation this year. 3 different Montana organizations are expected to write bills: the coin operators, the Board of Horse Racing, and Intralot, who runs the state's lottery operations. One, or a combination of all 3, is expected to be heard by the legislature later this month. For Montana's casino owners, the sooner the better.
With us having simulcasts and now the fantasy sports, it was like, well, we're ready to rock kind of right now and ready to go.
Kirk Dealer runs the Enterprise, the only casino offering pari-mutuel horse race wagering in Billings. Players can monitor different tracks, and wagers are made at kiosks connected to the tracks in real time. There's no doubt it has boosted Dealer's business.
It's been a really good thing to get people in the door. We're the only ones that offer it in Billings. I think there's 4 or 5 other ones in the state of Montana. And just having that little niche that brings people in the door and keeps them around.
That's the key. It gets people in the door. Horse racing isn't Dealer's biggest moneymaker, far from it, but it builds his customer base, which is what the Montana Tavern Association is hoping sports betting will do. Here's the most likely scenario. Businesses with gaming licenses will house kiosks connected to an out-of-state sportsbook, who will then set odds on matchups from wherever they're located. Players will have to come to the casino in Montana to make a wager, but will be able to use a mobile device while inside.
What they call geofencing. So they'll geofence the casino basically, and you can come in with your tablet or cell phone and deposit money through a debit card or cash, but you have to be in the confines of that establishment.
The MTA believes sports betting is a means to an end, enticing a customer to visit who then might spend money in other ways.
We want to see sports betting grow the Montana economy. And if we allow full mobile internet-based sports betting, you're going to take a big chunk of Montana money and send it straight out of state. There's not a significant amount of tax revenue that comes from sports betting. And so where the state's going to win is create more commerce in Montana, create more jobs in Montana.
That could depend on Montana's tax rate. Nevada's sports betting tax is the lowest in the country at 6.75%, while Delaware and Rhode Island recently set theirs at 50%. New Jersey, meanwhile, has an interesting solution to the on-site versus mobile debate. The state offers fully mobile betting. A player never has to leave his or her house. But on-site taxes are less than 10%, while mobile bets are 13%. Nevada's rules for mobile betting fall somewhere in between. Bettors must go to a brick-and-mortar sportsbook to deposit money into an account, but then can place wagers on a mobile device from anywhere in the state.
It's been a tremendous advantage, because what you have with a mobile app is every one of these is a betting window, and it's a new customer. So the fact that it does create a convenience element, when there's more convenience, that translates into more handle.
Vinny Maliulo has run sportsbooks in Las Vegas for 30 years and now works for the Vegas Stats and Information Network, a gambling-centric network anchored by Montana's own Brent Musburger, who sides with Nevada's process.
I guess I would say that the mobile operation is fine as long as you have to go to bricks and mortar to put your funds in. I'm not a fan of what I hear is happening in New Jersey, where you can use PayPal and other things to fund an account. Here in Nevada, it's cash only. Can't use credit cards, which is always a good idea when you're talking about gambling.
That's the conversation for how Montana would implement sports betting. But the question still remains, should it? MTA Government Affairs Counsel John Iverson says the answer may lie in a common Treasure State phrase. Montana is just one big small town.
The question of are we going to be able to bet on the Cat-Grizz game? Montana's a small, low-population state. Are we going to be able to place wagers on a game that you or I or your next-door neighbor might have intimate knowledge of the condition of the quarterback's ankle or of the kicker's foot? Does it concern you about the integrity of the sport and the potential damage to the integrity of the sport?
It's the reason Shoeless Joe Jackson was banned from baseball in his prime, and Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame. Sports betting will never completely get rid of its scandalous stigma, but its legitimacy is on the rise, and Montana may be the next frontier to embrace it. Now, even if Montana were to approve legislation as early as this month, there's a general consensus in conversations that bets wouldn't be taken for a year as rules and regulations get established and hardware is put into place. We'll bring you updates from the legislature as this process goes along.
Thanks so much. It's really interesting, Casey. And whether you watch Super Bowl 53 for the football commercials, or you might have seen a little piece of Montana and not even known it. On special assignment, MTN's Elizabeth Copeland follows Treasure State Steel that played a part in one of the biggest sporting events of the year.
It's big.
Our shop size, capacity-wise, is 125 feet wide, 650 feet long.
It's loud, and it's busy.
Everyone has to be on the top of their game.
From the street, ADF International in Great Falls is anything but.
I see a large building, a large yard, and they think it's impressive, but I don't think they understand that really the scope of the work that we do and the projects we work on.
We gotta come this way.
Great Falls native and fabrication foreman Ross Masters has worked his way up in the shop from the beginning.
So I've seen it come a long ways from the ground up to what we're currently working on.
And since then, literally tons of steel have moved in one bay door and out the other.
This beam, for example, is too big for them to drill holes with that equipment. So then it comes down to the fabrication area where we have the parts to start assembling everything.
It's a team effort from that north door all the way down to the south door.
And President and General Manager Dan Rooney knows just what it takes to keep the ball rolling.
This is hot, heavy work.
And big projects like the expansion of Salt Lake City Airport and the Calumet Refinery showcase their skills.
And they work hard doing what they do, so it's not easy, but we do it when we're asked, whatever it takes.
The most recently finished project?
We helped build the Falcon Stadium.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home to the Atlanta Falcons and Super Bowl 53.
Yeah, we're all very excited to see our end product go into that stadium. There's very few people that have an opportunity to have such an impact and such a visible impact.
The pieces ADF builds are like pieces of a puzzle, and precision is everything.
We have to be within about a 1/16 of an inch. They really came to us for our expertise, and they were willing to pay that extra freight because we could perform, we could deliver the steel, and deliver it accurately as well.
So now a little piece of Montana,
that's a piece of steel in a building that's going to be around for a long time,
was displayed for a worldwide stage during one of the biggest sporting events of the year. In Great Falls, Elizabeth Copeland, MTN News.
Well, more to come on the 10 o'clock news. After the break, we introduce you to a well-known Montana equipment company owner that went from working hard and trying to help his family make ends meet to playing 12 seasons as a defensive tackle in the NFL. We tell you a story coming up. And later in sports, if you missed the big game, don't worry. We have full highlights from Atlanta, all coming your way after the break.
You're watching MTN News with Zoe Zandora, Storm Tracker weather with Connor Pregetzer, and sports with Casey Conlon. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.